Welcome down! In the name of Jesus! Welcome down! Welcome down! I cannot wait to see him. As soon as he come right out that door, as soon as he come in that door. Come on now.
You better make my bro a good meal.
I'm making him some pork chops.
Yeah.
Baked potatoes, greens. I'm baking him a cake. All that. Where to my mother? I'm making his bed. All that.
Two big headlines collided this weekend. Both had the internet talking for very different reasons. First, Ludacris shocked fans by quietly pulling out of Kid Rock's country music festival, sparking instant speculation about what really went down behind the scenes. Was it a scheduling issue, a political statement, or pressure from fans who weren't feeling the collaboration? With tensions already high around Kid Rock's recent controversies, Luda's sudden exit raised more questions than answers than social media, wasted no time connecting the dots. At the same time, Cardi B was in a completely different mood. Following a big New England Patriots win, Cardi took to social media to hype up Stefon Diggs, making it crystal clear where her energy is right now. From flirty praise to proud support. Fans noticed the shift immediately, especially with rumors swirling about her personal life and who really has her heart. Some are calling it soft launch behavior. Others think it's pure celebration. But either way, Cardi made sure Diggs felt that love loud and clear. So while one rap legend stepped away from controversy, another hip-hop superstar leaned fully into the spotlight. Two stories, two vibes, one culture-shaking weekend, trust me. This is just the beginning. The past few days have been a perfect example of how hip-hop, sports, and culture constantly collide in unexpected ways. On one side, Ludacris made a move that surprised both fans and industry insiders by pulling out of Kid Rock's country music festival. On the other, Cardi B was doing the exact opposite, leaning into the moment. Loud and proud as she hyped up NFL star Stefon Diggs after a New England Patriots win. Two very different stories, but together they paint a clear picture of how celebrities navigate image, loyalty, and public perception in real time. Let's start with Ludacris. Ludacris has spent over 2 decades building a reputation as one of hip-hop's most versatile and respected figures. He's not just a rapper. He's an actor, entrepreneur, and a mainstream crossover success who managed to keep credibility while expanding into Hollywood and business. That's why his name being attached to Kid Rock's country festival raised eyebrows in the first place. On paper, it looked like another genre-blending moment, hip-hop meeting country, worlds colliding for a big live event. But culturally, it was much more complicated. Kid Rock is no stranger to controversy. Over the years, he's become a polarizing figure, especially due to his outspoken political views and public stunts that often divide audiences, while he still has a loyal fan base. Many artists, particularly Black artists and hip-hop fans, have been increasingly uncomfortable associating with him. So when Ludacris was announced as part of the festival lineup, reactions were mixed almost immediately. Some fans defended the move, arguing that music should be about unity and freedom of expression. Others saw it as a questionable alignment that didn't sit right with Luda's long-standing image. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, Ludacris pulled out no dramatic press conference. No long explanation. Just confirmation that he would no longer be performing at the festival. That silence is what made the situation even louder. In today's celebrity culture, when someone exits quietly, it usually means one of 3 things: behind the scenes, pressure, brand protection, or a decision made after realizing the backlash isn't worth it. From a brand perspective, Ludacris has a lot to lose and very little to gain from controversy at this stage in his career. He's positioned himself as a family-friendly figure in many ways: Fast and Furious movies, business partnerships, and a legacy that appeals across generations. Being tied to a highly politicized event could easily overshadow his music and achievements, even if his intentions were purely about performing. Perception matters more than intent when you're a global celebrity. Another important factor is fan response. Artists today are more aware than ever of how quickly public opinion can turn. Social media doesn't just react, it organizes. Once fans start framing a narrative, it spreads fast. If Ludacris noticed that a significant portion of his core audience felt disappointed or betrayed by the association, pulling out may have been the smartest move. Not because he was scared, because he understands longevity. There's also the possibility that internal conversations played a role. Managers, sponsors, and partners don't like uncertainty. If even one major brand partner raised concerns about how this appearance could be interpreted, that alone could have triggered a reevaluation. In the entertainment industry, decisions are rarely made in isolation. Now, while Ludacris was stepping away from a potentially messy situation, Cardi B was doing the exact opposite, stepping fully into the moment and letting the world know where she stands. After a New England Patriots win, Cardi B took to social media to hype up Stefon Diggs, and it didn't go unnoticed. Her posts weren't subtle. They were confident, celebratory, and full of energy. For fans who have been closely watching Cardi's personal life, this felt like more than just sports support. It felt personal. Cardi B is known for wearing her emotions on her sleeve. Whether it's love, anger, excitement, or pride, she doesn't hide how she feels. That's a big part of why her fan base connects with her so deeply. So when she publicly celebrated Diggs' performance, people immediately started reading between the lines at face value. It was simple. A superstar artist supporting an elite athlete after a big win. But context matters. Cardi's relationship history has been under constant public scrutiny. And any public interaction with a high-profile man becomes instant headline material. The timing, tone, and visibility of her posts made fans wonder if this was more than friendly hype. Social media reactions were split. Some fans loved seeing Cardi happy and energetic, cheering on someone who clearly impressed her. Others questioned whether this was a subtle message either to an ex, to the media, or to the world. In celebrity culture, even a single emoji can spark 1,000 theories. What makes Cardi's actions especially interesting is how intentional they feel. She knows the power of her platform. She knows every post will be analyzed, reposted, and discussed. So when she chooses to publicly support someone, it's rarely accidental. That doesn't mean everything is romantic, but it does mean she's comfortable being seen in that moment. Without over-explaining herself, there's also something symbolic about the contrast between these two stories. Ludacris chose distance and silence. Cardi chose visibility and noise. Both are survival strategies in the modern fame economy. Ludacris represents the veteran artist who protects legacy first. He's already won. His priority is maintaining respect, stability, and long-term relevance. Cardi B represents the modern superstar who thrives on real-time engagement. She understands that being authentic, even messy at times, is what keeps her culturally dominant. And then there's Stefon Diggs, right in the middle of it all. For an athlete, public support from someone like Cardi B is a massive spotlight. It extends his relevance beyond sports and into pop culture. Whether intentional or not, that kind of attention changes how someone is perceived. Suddenly, it's not just about touchdowns, it's about personality, presence, and cultural impact at its core. Part 1 of this story is about choices. Ludacris chose to step back before a narrative could define him. Cardi B chose to lean in and let the moment speak for itself. Both moves make sense for where they are in their lives and careers as the conversation continues to unfold. One thing is clear. In today's culture, silence is loud and support is louder. And every move, whether it's pulling out of a festival or posting after a football game, becomes part of a much bigger story as the reactions continued to roll in. The contrast between Ludacris and Cardi B became even more revealing. What initially looked like two unrelated celebrity updates started to feel like a case study in how public figures manage power, perception, and timing in the social media age. With Ludacris, the conversation quickly shifted from why he left to what his silence means. In modern celebrity culture, silence is rarely neutral. Fans and critics alike read it as a deliberate strategy. Ludacris didn't jump online to defend himself, didn't throw shade, and didn't issue a carefully worded statement explaining his morals or beliefs. Instead, he let the absence of his name on the festival lineup do the talking. For longtime fans, this move actually reinforced his image. Ludacris has never been known as someone who thrives on controversy. Even at the peak of his rap career, he balanced humor, sharp lyricism, and mainstream appeal without constantly inserting himself into drama. Pulling out quietly fit that pattern. It suggested maturity, self-awareness, and an understanding that not every battle needs to be fought in public. Industry insiders began pointing out something else. Festivals are not just performances, they're partnerships. Being on a festival bill means being associated with its brand, its audience, and its message, spoken or unspoken. Kid Rock's festival, given his public persona, carries cultural and political baggage whether organizers admit it or not. By stepping away, Ludacris avoided being locked into a narrative that could follow him for years. Another layer to this situation is the evolving expectations placed on artists. Fans today don't just consume music, they expect alignment. They want to know what an artist stands for, who they support, and what lines they won't cross. While this can be unfair at times, it's the reality of the current landscape. Ludacris likely recognized thought even a single appearance could be interpreted as endorsement. For someone with a global fan base and cross-industry deals, that risk may have outweighed the reward. Meanwhile, Cardi B was experiencing the opposite effect. Her actions were amplifying her presence rather than shrinking it. After the Patriots win, her excitement around Stefon Diggs became a trending topic not because it was shocking, but because it felt genuine. Cardi wasn't issuing a press release or staging a photo shoot. She was reacting in real time, like a fan who was genuinely proud and energized. That authenticity is her superpower. What really caught people's attention was how unapologetic she was. Cardi didn't try to downplay her enthusiasm or clarify her intentions. She didn't say, "Relax, it's not that deep." She let the internet talk. That's a risky move for many celebrities. But Cardi has built her career on trusting her instincts and riding the wave rather than fighting it. For fans, this moment fed into a larger narrative about Cardi reclaiming her joy and independence. Over the past few years, her personal life has often been framed through conflict, stress, and emotional exhaustion. Seeing her openly hyped, playful, and confident felt like a shift. Whether Stefon Diggs is a romantic interest or simply someone she respects, the bigger takeaway was Cardi's energy. She looked happy, and that matters to her audience, Stefon Diggs. On the other hand, found himself elevated into a new level of cultural relevance. Athletes often struggle to break through beyond their sport unless they actively chase celebrity. Diggs didn't have to do that. Cardi's spotlight did the work for him. Suddenly, people who don't watch football were asking who he is, how he plays, and why Cardi B is cheering so hard for him. This is where sports and entertainment truly merge. A single social media interaction can reshape public perception. Diggs went from being just a star receiver to a figure in pop culture conversation. That doesn't just help his brand, it changes how fans emotionally connect to him. Comparing this to Ludacris again, the difference is striking. Ludacris reduced his visibility to protect his image. Cardi increased her visibility to express herself. Both moves are intentional. Both are calculated in their own way. And both reflect where they are in their careers. There's also an age and era divide at play. Ludacris came up in a time when artists controlled access. Interviews were scheduled, statements were filtered, and mystery was part of the brand. Cardi B came up in the social media era, where constant access is expected and relatability drives success. She understands that being visible even imperfectly is often more powerful than being polished. Another interesting aspect is how fans reacted to each story. Ludacris supporters largely respected his decision, framing it as a smart and dignified move. Cardi's fans celebrated her confidence and excitement, defending her against anyone who tried to shame or overanalyze her actions. In both cases, the artist's core audiences backed them up. Shows how well they understand the people who support them. Part 2. Of this story isn't just about a festival or a football game. It's about control. Who controls the narrative? Who decides when to speak and when to stay quiet? Ludacris exercised control by stepping away. Cardi exercised control by stepping forward. And in a culture where every move is watched, judged, and replayed, that ability to choose your own response is the real power. By the time the dust started to settle, it became clear that these two moments, Ludacris pulling out of Kid Rock's festival and Cardi B hyping up Stefon Diggs, weren't just celebrity news flashes. They were reflections of how influence works in today's culture, and how differently that influence can be used. Ludacris' decision, while quiet, sent a strong message without him ever having to say a word. In an era where artists are often pressured to explain every move, his silence stood out. It reminded people that sometimes the most powerful response is simply choosing not to participate. By removing himself from the situation, he avoided unnecessary controversy and protected the legacy he has spent decades building. For many fans, that restraint actually increased their respect for him. It showed confidence that he doesn't need to justify his values publicly to prove them. At the same time, his exit also highlighted a growing reality in entertainment. Alignment matters more than ever. Where you show up, who you stand next to, and what platforms you share all become part of your story. Ludacris recognized that early and acted accordingly. Whether fans agree with Kid Rock or not, Ludacris made it clear that his brand would not be defined by that association. Cardi B's moment with Stefon Diggs represented the opposite approach, but with equal impact. Instead of stepping away from attention, she embraced it. Her excitement after the Patriots win wasn't polished or calculated in a traditional sense. It was loud, proud, and very Cardi. That authenticity is why her influence remains so strong. She doesn't just post for visibility. She posts from emotion. And her audience feels that. What made this moment especially powerful was how it reframed Cardi's public image. Rather than being caught in narratives of conflict or chaos, she appeared joyful, supportive, and confident. Fans weren't just talking about Diggs, they were talking about how good Cardi seemed. That shift in energy matters. It changes the tone of the conversation around her, even if only temporarily. Stefon Diggs, too, walked away from this moment with increased visibility. Without saying much himself, he became part of a broader cultural conversation. That's the modern celebrity ecosystem at work. Attention moves fast, and when it lands on you, it can reshape how the public sees you almost overnight. In the end, these stories show that there's no single right way to navigate fame. Some artists protect their peace by stepping back. Others amplify their presence by leaning in. Ludacris and Cardi B did opposite things, but both stayed true to who they are. And that's why both moments resonated. One reminded us that silence can be strategic. The other proved that joy, when shared authentically, can be just as powerful. The weekend's headlines are a perfect reminder of how much celebrity culture intersects with music, sports, and social media. Ludacris showed the power of stepping back, protecting your brand, and letting silence speak louder than words. Cardi B, on the other hand, reminded us that authenticity, energy, and celebrating the moments that matter can make you impossible to ignore. Both approaches are valid, but they also highlight one key truth. In today's world, every move is magnified. If you want to stay ahead of the conversation and never miss a cultural moment, it's time to get engaged. Follow the artists, watch the games, and keep an eye on the trends shaping how fans and celebrities interact. Whether it's a shocking festival exit or a superstar cheering on an athlete, these moments spark conversations, inspire debate, and give us a front row seat to modern fame in action. Don't just scroll past, be part of the conversation. Comment, share, and let your voice be heard. From breaking news to real-time reactions, staying in the loop means you're always in touch with what's shaping music, sports, and pop culture today. Join in and see how every move counts.